Our gospel reading today comes from the 14th chapter of Luke, verses 25 to 33. Now large crowds were traveling with him, and he turned and said to them, "Whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not first sit down and estimate the cost to see whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to ridicule him, saying, 'This fellow began to build and was not able to finish.' Or what king, going out to wage war against another king, will not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to oppose the one who comes against him with 20,000? If he cannot, then while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for the terms of peace. So therefore, none of you can become my disciple if you do not give up all of your possessions." Whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Put another way, this passage could read this way: anyone who comes to me but refuses to let go of father, mother, spouse, children, brothers, sisters, yes, even one's own self, can't be my disciple. Anyone who won't shoulder their own cross and follow behind me can't be my disciple. Every time I read this particular verse, there are two questions that surface for me. The first is, how serious is Jesus when he says these things? To this question, I would respond, very serious. Jesus is reaching a point on his journey to Jerusalem where he really needs the folks to get what he's saying about what it means to be a follower of Christ. He is on his way to the cross and is getting closer and closer each day. And so I would say he's very serious. But the second question that comes to mind for me is, how literal is Jesus being when he uses these words? To this question, I would say, Jesus is not being literal at all. He does not demand that you truly hate the people you're supposed to love or your life, or that you carry a literal cross in order to be able to follow him. He uses, as he often does, hyperbole, this huge exaggeration, to prove a point. And what he really means is this: being a follower of Jesus Christ requires certain things of you, and those things are hard. We have talked many times about the myth that's out there where some people say that becoming a Christ follower makes your life easier. And you have heard me say many times before that that's just plain junk. In fact, when we decide to follow Christ, our whole life is rearranged, and we're called to live and to speak and to think and to love differently than we ever have before. And that is hard. Being a Christian is hard work. Now, here in the middle of my message, I need to stop and make a public service announcement. And it has to do with the verse that reads like this: Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. I need to take just a moment for a little bit and to talk about what a cross is and what a cross is not. This verse is so misunderstood and poorly taught and horribly preached that I need to take a minute to say something about it. And I might challenge your belief or a belief or two here, and that's okay. Dear friends, some folks read this verse and they say things like, well, last week I lost my job that I've had for 20 years, and now I have no way to feed my family. Jesus must have made this happen so I can understand what it means to carry a cross. Others might say, well, I didn't ask for this illness. Jesus must have given it to me so that I will know what it means to suffer. Worse yet, in my opinion, that child that passed away in an accident last week, well, God must have wanted those particular parents to carry the cross of losing a child. Let me pause here again and say that these statements are all theological junk. They are wrong, wrong, and then so wrong. Pause for a second and think about this. Who would want to serve a God that sits wherever God sits and says, today I think I'll wreak havoc on Pastor Nick's life so he can feel what it's like to struggle? Friends, we do not serve a God that has us on marionette strings. Biology causes illness. Weather patterns and our abuse of the earth cause hurricanes that wipe out countries. Free will, which was given to us at our creation by the God who loves us, allows people to make good choices and bad choices, which result in good and bad things happening all around us. Car accidents that take lives are just that. They are accidents. And accidents happen sometimes because humans make poor choices, but they also happen just because accidents happen. The question that comes up when we have this conversation is, so where is God in all of these horrible things? I would say God is walking right beside the person who is sick. God is sitting on the roof with the parent who has watched their child swept away by a hurricane. God is with parents who have lost a child in an accident or a school shooting. Right beside us and right in front of us. Right beside us and carrying us. You pick the image that works for you. Forever present and with us always, but not as the cause of these horrible things, which are not the crosses that Jesus is talking about. Jesus wanted the people listening to know just exactly what they were getting into when they became followers. There's a common joke among pastors that these verses could serve as the material for a church membership class. So the material might read, in order to become a member of Newtonville United Methodist Church, you need to hate all the people in your life and hate your present life and pick up this cross of ministry, which will be very, very difficult. Not too many signing up, I would imagine. Early churches like the Puritans responded to the words of Jesus here by intensifying requirements for church membership. In the 1630s, the church demanded that children recount a dramatic conversion experience in order to become church members. Some churches expected members to abstain from drinking, dancing, watching movies. Some churches asked for a specific commitment of time and money. No money equals no membership. Some demand obedience to the authority of the pastors and other church leaders. You see, these high demand policies are sometimes effective in producing deeper commitments, but they also can become legalistic and shaming and authoritarian. And I will suggest to you this morning that this is not what Jesus is talking about when he talks about picking up a cross. Again, he wanted folks to know that being a follower of Jesus is not easy. Let's look at some other words from the Gospels and see if we can make some more sense of this. In Matthew chapter 5, it says, rejoice when you are persecuted by others. In Matthew 5, verse 16, it says, let your light shine by doing good deeds. In Matthew 5:37, it says, be reconciled with those whom you have offended. In that same chapter, let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. In Matthew 5, verse 44, it says, love your enemies. Matthew 15, verse 4, honor your parents. Luke chapter 9, deny yourself and follow me. Matthew 18, forgive those who are wrong, even if they keep wronging you over and over. Matthew 22, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. John 14, keep my commandments. Matthew 28, baptize my disciples. Love one another. I Googled the commands of Jesus, and it gave me 7 pages worth of material, which I'll spare you this morning. But when Jesus says, hate this person and that person and yourself, in other words, being a Christian is hard work, this is why he says it. Because being a follower of Jesus is life-changing, mind-blowing work. And what about those crosses? Well, I believe that when we try to do all of those things, even just the 10 or so that I've mentioned, there are so many frustrating and harmful and angering things that could happen. There are many crosses that come along with following Jesus. There are many crosses that come from being in ministry together and trying to do all those things that I just listed. When people treat us poorly for living differently, who wants to rejoice? Sometimes my light is dim for a reason, and that's where I want to leave it. It's hard to know when I've offended someone, and when I do, I'm embarrassed and don't really want to admit it. So reconciliation is difficult. Sometimes I say yes to please people, and I should have said no. It would have been easier to be honest, but sometimes it's easier to give in. Love my enemies? Come on now, it's easier to carry the hate. Hate my stuff? I like my iPhone and my iPad and all of my books. Sometimes my parents make it difficult to honor them. Forgive them even when they don't apologize and they keep ticking me off. I'll try. Feed my sheep. This can be difficult and embarrassing, and some people don't like it when I feed those who need it. Love one another. Jesus makes it seem easy, but some people are just plain hard to love. Are you with me this morning? These commands of Jesus are just a few of the membership requirements if we want to call ourselves followers of Christ. If we want to be disciples of Jesus Christ in a world where this message is very often not well received. And so therefore, being a disciple asks us to do these things that we don't want to do, or think, or say, or feel. And the crosses are many, as I just mentioned. So many obstacles, so many ignorant and mean and dishonest people and systems in our way. This too is a cross we need to carry. And yet, dear friends, this morning we are still called to discipleship through the hardships and the crosses and the life-changing call of Jesus. Wallace and O'Neill wrote that Jesus' call to discipleship invites us to commit ourselves to a relationship with him that will shape our lives not just on Sundays, but through all of the days and the years that lie ahead. He invites us to a lifelong connection through the working of the Holy Spirit that will affect a transformation at the deepest level of our being. He invites us to a lifelong connection through the working of the Holy Spirit that will affect a transformation at the deepest level of our being.